You guys don't need to see my cupboards. For those of you who don't know who I am Mr. Corsalino. I teach 8th grade at Pine. And I had a request from my students, 9th grade students, you know who you are, to make something. And I was like, well, what can I make and what do I have? And I was checking on my parents during this time, and my mom had some chocolate chip cookies, and some chocolate chip morsels. Sorry, not cookies, morsels. She says, can you make some? And I said, sure, for your dad. I'm like, I can do it. And I'm like, what better way to do it than to introduce myself and cook something, and then I think that's the best way. So today I'm going to show you how to make chocolate chip cookies that, I guess some say they're known throughout Holtville, or at Pine School they're known for sure by the teachers. But I'm going to show you how I make mine. I follow the exact same recipe on the bag. You'll know exactly what it is based on, you can look up the amount of ingredients I have, but it's the exact same thing on the back of a Nestle Toll House bag. I've got everything laid out. All right, take that back. I do change 2 things on that recipe though. It's still the same though, but I change it to this degree. All right, and when I get to them, I will. So the first thing it calls for is 2 1/4 cups of flour. For one, makes you wonder, I memorized this recipe. I've made it too many times. Okay. You need a teaspoon. Okay. A teaspoon of baking powder. This little box right here, if you guys ever seen it. It's like, one of the good things is this one's not about to expire, but it's going to, and I'll have to get another one. But the good news is about this, you can put this in your freezer, tell your parents, or a fridge, and it helps absorb, like if you get any bad smells in there, it helps absorb it. Okay? 1 teaspoon of that, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Now, problem is I just used my teaspoon, and so I don't want to mix baking soda and salt. It won't work, so I'm going to use 2 half ones. All right? Let me double check something real quick. I'm not trusting myself. Okay, yeah, I'm good. I wasn't trusting my own knowledge. That was a half teaspoon. It's a teaspoon of salt. All right, so here we go. All right. Now, one way I do make it, and this is not by the directions, but like I said, I'm showing you guys how I make it. It's the same ingredients. It's the same thing on the bag. Is I mix all the dry ingredients first. Okay, that's the flour, the baking soda, the salt. Mix them all up. All right, just to combine them. I just want everything to go. You can better do it with a whisk, but I don't really want to clean tonight, so I'm going to have to, but I don't want to clean much, so I'm not going to use a whisk. I use a wooden spoon. You can use, if you have a mixer, you can use your mixer if you want to. I don't want to. But mix it up the same. And I'm also doing this because one of my assignments this week for my students was to ask what kind of questions, what do they want to know about me? So during this, while I'm making it and doing the thing, I'm going to answer some of those questions. Like one I got the most is, do you have any pets? Unfortunately, I do not have any pets. And since moving before, I lived in an apartment and weren't allowed to have pets. I do have a house now, and it is something I'm going to do. I just don't know when, but I currently do not have any pets. All right. Now the dry ingredients are mixed up, so I'm going to put this over here to the side. Okay. Now, even though the dry ingredients. Now the next ingredients I'm going to combine, they aren't necessarily they're what they call the wet ingredients, but 2 of these are not, and 2 of these are brown sugar. This is light brown sugar. You can use dark brown sugar, but your cookies will come out much darker. Could be more dense or thicker. Not necessarily a bad thing, depends what you like. 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar and 3/4 of a cup of regular white sugar. Just like that. All right, now you have to have 2 eggs. I actually got some farm fresh eggs from a local family. They were kind enough, so I appreciate it. Farm fresh eggs, whether you've tried them or not, make a big difference in baking. All right, so I got 2 of them. And always remember to crack them separately, because you never know, especially with farm fresh eggs, in case you get a bad one. Crack them second and combine them. I cracked them separate, then put them in this bowl. Okay. All right. Now it's 2 eggs in this. Now, this is where I change one of the ingredients. Okay. It calls for 2 sticks of unsalted butter, and I have 2 sticks here, but it's salted butter. But it calls for soften. I don't soften mine. I melt mine. Makes a big difference. I don't know why. but it makes a difference. And so this is melted. I melted over the stove, and I had to let it sit for about an hour so it cools off properly, because if I put it in here when it's warm, it won't cause problems, but if you put the chocolate chips in here with warm, they'll melt. I did it once. I basically had chocolate chip cookies. Didn't have chocolate chip cookies. I had cookie dough with chocolate swirls. Tasted fine, but it didn't look right. It didn't seem the same, so it didn't work, okay? So I'm gonna dump all this in there now. Okay, there we go. Okay. One last ingredient you don't want to miss, because it does make a difference, because I've left it out once, and it does make a bit of difference. It's fresh vanilla. And this vanilla I got from a friend who went over, they went months, I've had this for a long time, years ago. This lasts a long time. Vanilla comes from Mexico, and one of the best vanillas you got out there, in my opinion. And better quality vanilla makes a big difference. Okay, 1 teaspoon, and there we go. Okay, all right. Go, let's take this out of the way. Gotta mix this up now. This one you can use a whisk, but sometimes I like to just, one way to get incorporated, especially with the eggs breaking up, I like to use a fork, so I'm gonna use a fork. I'm combining it. And I let the butter sit out a little bit. I waited a little too long after it was completely cooled, so it's not curdled, but it settled, some of the stuff settled on the top, which is fine. You just gotta basically want to try to whip it up, really get rid of it as best you can. Won't hurt anything. All right. Now once you got all the sugars and the wet ingredients, the eggs and everything combined, should look something like that. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see that. I don't know, because I can't go around the camera and look and hold it at the same time. That'd be a neat trick though. Okay. Oops. Now this is where my spatula comes back into play, because it's better to use a spatula to get all the gooiness of the sugary substance out of the bowl and into the wet. I'm going to take the wet ingredients, combine them with the dry. Okay. Scrape down the bowl. We don't want to lose anything. All that fun stuff. Okay. There we go. Let me go grab something real quick, because I'm doing this for a reason, and sort of do need to have some of the questions. Okay. All right. So now you just stir them up to combine them until you don't see any more. You want to see no flour. If you've got a little bit at the end, it's okay, but we're going to stir it till we don't see any flour, till we don't see any dry ingredients. Really, we're going to mix them to combine. All right. One of the questions I had was, what do I do with my free time? Well, usually in my free time, I like to go to the movies. It's one of my things I like to do. And right now, I can't do that, unfortunately, because of everything being on closed and on in quarantine and everything. But I love to go to the movies. Since I can't go to the movies, I still watch them at my house when I can. I'll order movies and things like that, rent, watch my Netflix, but it's one of my favorite things to do. And another one I do is, which sort of ties into a question, I still do play video games every once in a while. It's a good stress reliever for me, get things out. Recently I've been playing a lot of Rock Band, drums and guitar, just because I also like music and playing it. It sort of gets me brings me back. And Beat Saber, and then I will admit I do play some of the shooter games, Call of Duty, things like that. Which leads to another question. They asked if they could have my PS4 username, and I tell the same thing for every student. No, sorry, you can't have it. But however, if you ever figure it out, it's the same. It's across all gaming platforms. I don't change it. It's what we call my gamer tag. All right. All right. Got it combined? Something like that. Cookie dough. All right. Now, most people love to eat cookie dough. I'm not one of those. My sister and mom, if I'm sitting there making it, even though there's eggs in here, which you're not supposed to, they will eat the cookie dough raw. You're not supposed to, because like I said, salmonella, but hey, some people don't listen. But that's what you got. Now, once that's combined, you do the last thing, which I'm going to the freezer because that's where I keep them. I keep my chocolate chips in the freezer. Now, before I tell you, this is out of the bag. My mom had this. She's like, we got to use this. They're holiday. So I'm making chocolate chip cookies with Christmas type morsels. So red, green, and black. Okay. It's Christmassy, all right. Okay. There we go. I don't have more questions to ask. No matter what, I'm still gonna ask before this video is still gonna have 10 more minutes, no matter what. And some of you can wait and listen to the questions and answer them, or you can wait till the end. It's up to you. Honestly, when I usually make this, it's 2 batches, so it really takes a long time to make them. All right. Get them incorporated as best you can. Stir them around. This way, if like you're really young and like the arm strength, you don't have it, you might need an adult's help to like stir it around because this dough gets thick and sticky and tough, but that's okay. All right, now that's done. Okay, gotta go down here, get my tray out. Now, I can put them directly onto this if I want to. You're more than welcome to, but like I said, I don't like having to clean a lot. So, what I do is I buy parchment paper. Okay. Now parchment paper is just basically, it's non-stick paper. It's used for baking. They'll put it on baking sheets so they can put things on it and come right out. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically make it so it fits to my pan. Measure one side, fold it on the other once I find out where it's at. Oops. Nope, we're good. All right. Could have done a better job on this, but it'll do. I'm not really going for show. All right. Now, what you want to do, another tip, not a requirement, is some people have they have the cookie dough balls. Okay. What I do is I just take like a normal teaspoon, like not teaspoon, but your spoons, not your soup spoons like this. This is like your soup spoon, your bigger one, the one smaller than that. I can't think of the name right now. But we're not judging anything, right? So what I do, think about something like, about like that. It's a little bit bigger if I think I can just go like this. What I do is you can put in a ball. I don't. I just place it on there because they come out different shapes anyways. Now here's one of the unfortunate things about when I lived in my apartment, I had a bigger oven and I could fit a bigger baking pan in there. Sheet cake, like a sheet pan like what I'm using right now for these cookies. And this one, unfortunately it's a little bit smaller. So I have to watch which ones I use. And this one I use is good. It works, it fits, but I can only get 9 instead of 12. I could put more on there, but they'll combine and go into each other, which you don't want when you're making your cookies, okay? So here you go. I've got my 9 on here. Like I said, parchment, see? That's why the parchment paper there. It's gonna basically, so when it comes on there, it comes right off. I can just peel it off, all right? So there it is. Goes into an oven for 375. At 375, now, the chocolate chips said for about 11, 12 minutes. I don't. This is my next secret. I'm sharing stuff here. I put them in for 10 minutes. Now, they don't look like they're done in 10 minutes, but like I said, I'll leave them on the pan, and when I leave them on the pan will cook them, I'll leave them about 5 minutes, the pan will cook them the rest of the way, and they'll be done. All right? So, goes into the oven. Don't have my stopwatch, so I'll go over here to my trusty microwave. Sorry I can't see. There we go. So my timer's going, all right? So I can't do much else in the thing. So, like I said, if you want to fast forward to the video to the end, fast forward about 10 minutes and you can see the end of the work. But if you want to know about me, stick around. If you don't want to know about me, I'm sorry. So, next one, childhood home. My childhood home I always considered it to be in Flagstaff, Arizona. That's where I grew up most as a kid. from when I moved around a lot. Because when I was born in Flagstaff, Arizona, but my parents lived in Kayenta, Arizona. It was a Navajo reservation up at the top of Arizona. But we moved to Flagstaff when I was a baby. Don't remember that much, but I went to kindergarten there. Halfway through kindergarten, we moved to Craig, Colorado. I did half of kindergarten, all of first, half of second grade, moved back to Flagstaff, and then I stayed there all the way up to 7th grade. And then when 7th grade, I moved out here to the Valley, went to Sacred Heart School in Brawley for 1 year, and then I went to BUHS. I know, guy from Brawley, talking to people from Hopeville, forgive me. But that's where I went. But my childhood home, for me, I'll always remember is in Flagstaff, Arizona. It also goes to some place where I go, like if I could, and it's the honest truth, if I could live somewhere, I would live in Flagstaff. It's a place I've always loved. I like to travel there. I go there to visit friends. I don't have any family there, but I have people that are close enough that they're basically like they are family to me. But like I said, it's a place I've always wanted to live, and I still do, but where I chose to live when I bought my house was, I don't regret it. I love it here in Hopeville as well. It's a community I have not seen to this day. That's the truth. How was I in school? Ooh, gotta be honest here. I was not a straight A student. I wasn't A's and B's. I was more of a B student, if anything. Got a few A's, got more C's than A's. I did get 2 D's. I got 1 in 7th grade, and I got 1. It was history in 7th grade, and then I got a D in biology in high school, which you got to make up if you get a D. So do good. Don't be like me. Did I always want to be a teacher? Okay. No. When I was younger, I was like most kids, like firemen, policemen. Never made it there. Truth be told, it was 6th grade I decided I wanted to be a teacher, and I've stuck with that ever since. And this is to a question I'm not answering right here, but I had a lot of people ask me, why did I want to become a teacher? That is a story you have to wait to get from me in 8th grade, because I'll be honest, it's a very personal story. My 8th graders will find out about that this year, even though we're distance learning, they will find out about it. I forgot all about it, and then I changed one of my ending lesson weeks to this, and so they're going to be learning about me 1 week, and I'll be learning about them. Okay? And one says, Mike, how long do I run? I get up in the mornings and I go running, because it's one of the things we're still allowed to do. I go running about a mile and a half. I got to pick that up to 2 miles in May. That's the rule. For me, I got to increase it. I'll be honest, I don't make the full mile right now for some reason. Either maybe I'm being lazy, or I'm just out of breath, or this whole thing's throwing me off. But the longest I've ever run, though, I did a 3K once, which is 5K, which is about 3.1 miles. I did that in right under 30 minutes. But I run for about a mile and a half, and then I walk the rest of the way back to my house. It takes about 40 minutes, sometimes 50, depending if I walk more than I run. Another vacation spot, I forgot about that, vacation. I've always wanted to go to, it's one place I want to go to is, in the U.S. is Philadelphia. I've been to New York and Boston, and ever since I started teaching U.S. history, it's really changed my perspective on everything. A lot of history back when we started this country, the United States, Revolutionary War, things like that. And I haven't been to Philadelphia yet, and a lot of people have said that's where I got to go next. But outside of it, I still want to go. Never been to Italy. Places, Venice, Rome, all those places, things like that. Also like other places in Europe, but mainly Italy. Working from home. Do I like working from home right now? No, not really. Took me a while to get used to it. Still not used to it. I do my work throughout the day. I answer responses, questions all the time. Sometimes I don't see it, and I apologize for everybody. But if I get a question or response from a student, I answer it as soon as I see it. But it's after 9 o'clock I don't answer things. And it's actually almost 9 o'clock here. I'm filming this late right now because I was busy today. But I said I was going to do this today, and I was going to do it. But I don't like it. I miss being with my students in my classroom. I didn't choose a profession to work from home. I chose it because I like being in the classroom and making, get to know people, get to know students better that way. So that's what I prefer. Ouch. Let's see. And then I got them all. Like I said, my free time and hobbies about the same. If I'm playing games, sitting around, do yard work around my house, mow my lawn. I've been cutting down trees that have been here for a while because one thing I do have a lot of is called pencil plants, and I've had a bunch of people who own pets, and they say if you want to get a pet, you got to get rid of that tree. And I've looked into it, can't really figure it out, but I'll take their word for it. Plus, it's blocking a light in the back of mine. This fly's bothering me. Back in the light of my house, so I had to get rid of it anyways. Ooh, got it. Hopefully. Lastly, a weight loss secret. Liz class actually got to see it before things happened. They saw the picture. I used to be, when I got out of school, I got out of high school, I was 300 pounds. And didn't exercise, didn't do much, but I was 300 pounds. And both my parents, they're diabetics. And the doctor, I went in for just a checkup, and the doctor said, if you do not lose weight, I become a diabetic like them. So I was like, okay. So I didn't start like gung-ho or anything. I just first started just by taking out a lot of the sweets. I used to drink a lot of like soda and all the time. So I took those out and went more to water. Diet sodas, which they say is not good for you. But hey, who knows? But I went away from sugary sodas, candy and things like that. And then I lost some weight there. When that stopped, I went to eating a little bit more healthier. And then when that stopped, I put in exercise, like a little light to moderate. When that stopped, I increased it to moderate and vigorous. And then about 4 years ago, I started going to the gym, and then I pretty much sit the same. It just depends. If I'm being really good and I'm eating right, I will lose the weight and slim down a little bit. If I don't, or eat things I'm not supposed to, like this, I don't. But I try to balance it out. Like for dinner, I had ham and broccoli, so that's good. So I'll be able to make sure, got a taste test, make sure everything's good. But that's really what it was. I just ate right and worked out. And I said for most people, and it is hard. It's really hard to eat right and like have fun when you want to. But here's the thing: it's like if you're gonna do weight loss, like when I'm doing it right, I will eat right 6 days out of the week. And when I eat right 6 days out of the week, on one of those days I'll have a cheat meal. Because here's your thing. There are some people who can go gung-ho, they can eat healthy the entire time and not care in the world. I am not one of those. The longest I've gone without eating sweets was, I think it was 3 weeks. I went without eating sweets, just water, tea, things like that. And it was hard. And then I was like, it's time for me to break and have a good day. And it was hard for me to go back ever since. But it's rewarding when you do it right. I will be honest. If you can do it right, it is very rewarding and fulfilling. But it's not easy. What I'm doing is I'm just going to have 2 ready. Because it'll be easy. Like when this one comes out, I can pop this guy in. Because he should be almost done. I could have made this video shorter by actually having one like cooking ready, but I wanted to show you guys the process of me making it. So if anybody said, well, he skipped a step, no, I didn't skip a step. This is how I do it. The one thing I can tell you guys to do is, if you want, like, it does work. You can take these cookies and instead of making them right away, you can put them in the fridge and store them overnight. Let them, like the flavors will meld together and the binding, and actually the cookies will come out they'll have a different complete texture, which is actually not a bad thing. All right, gotta do 2 things real quick, so I want you guys to be able to see it. All right. Your new word for the day, trivet, because I can't, even though this is a wooden thing, I can't put a surface on it. So these will protect my wood surface while The hot thing is on top. Even with this pan, 9's too close. They combine. So, as I told you guys, I want that back. They will, after 10 minutes, like I said, they don't look completely done, but it's hard to see. They are brown on the bottom, which is what I want to see. I'm just leaving them on here to give them a little bit more time. I gotta be very careful. I don't want to burn myself. I'm just gonna, who cares? Give them more time. They'll just settle. The heat from this pan is still gonna give them a little bit extra cooking, so I leave them there. But it's not on here. But someone says, like, what's your favorite cookie? Honestly, I like Snickerdoodles. One of the best cookies in the thing. Like, you could make a Snickerdoodle, package cookies, Oreos, easy. But if you give me a freshly baked chocolate chip cookie out of the oven, one of the best things. But there you go. Just to prove they're edible, I will forego this. There you go. Different spatula. There we go. Ooh, there we go. So, that hurt. So there you go. Not brown, but the problem is it's the first batch. Usually don't brown as much. The next ones will burn a little better. I got a little green on my finger. Doesn't look right, but that's because of chocolate chips. And tastes like a chocolate chip cookie. Hope you guys make them. If you do, let me know. Tell me how they turn out.